women's livelihoods. These corporations are known to take over women's land and export food rather than feed the local community. Women are increasingly pushed out of the market since the vast majority of them are unable to compete with large-scale farms and participate in the global economy. So, what can gender groups do? The recommendations presented to gender groups within our lobbying package has 3 overarching goals: to increase knowledge, increase discussion, and increase action. For example, to increase knowledge, we ask that each recipient of our lobbying package forwards it to an additional 10 organizations or colleagues that they believe can be active on the issue. We would also like women and gender groups to disseminate our lobbying package at the upcoming UNFCCC conferences in Bonn, Germany, and Doha, Qatar. To increase discussion, we ask that women and gender groups discuss the link between animal agriculture, climate change, and its relation to gender during their organized side events, exhibits, workshops, and seminars planned for UNFCCC meetings. To increase action, we would like groups to provide suggestions to delegates to ensure that the link between animal agriculture, climate change, and gender is taken into account while crafting policy. We would like to see this happen by incorporating the term scale sensitive into 4 identified key UNFCCC documents. These documents are approaching new phases, which mean that they are indeed amendable. Packaged in this term scale sensitive is the ambition for global responses to climate change to protect the welfare of animals, as well as the economically and politically marginalized stakeholders, such as small and local farmers, indigenous people, and women. We ask groups to advocate that our 3 guiding principles mentioned earlier are incorporated into national development plans. We ask that groups help implement national and regional initiatives that can then be scaled up to the international level. Our lobbying package demonstrates how women are indeed disproportionately affected by the impacts of animal agriculture and climate change. However, we hope that our recommendations will deliver the message that women are not victims, but rather agents of change.
Good evening, we're the youth group. I'm Jamie, this is Redding, Sarah, and again Stacy, and the title of our project is What's Your Stake in It? Youth Involvement in Animal Agriculture and Climate Change. We begin with a brief preview into our project. Okay. First, we will reiterate what our project is, explain our constituency, go over our selected focus areas, and break down our recommendations. For our project, we are given the task of creating a lobbying package for youth non-governmental organizations, otherwise known as Youngos, and establish the connection between climate change and animal agriculture in order to engage their support for relevant UNFCCC policies on animal agriculture. Animal agriculture issues are important to youth because of its significant impact on climate change, and that youth themselves are a major contributor behind the demand for animal products, a demand which perpetuates the use of unsustainable and inhumane agricultural practices. Hence, youth need to have a stake in animal agriculture issues. Furthermore, increasing industrialization of societies will only exacerbate these conditions. Through our research, we found a correlation between industrialization and the rise in meat-based diets and consumer demand for animal products. Youth play a major role in the shaping of this culture. Moreover, marketing for fast food is generally oriented towards youth as part of a modern and contemporary lifestyle. Pictured on the side is Yatterman and his girlfriend Aichan. So based on these variables, youths in particular have an immense propensity to positively influence the future of animal agriculture towards more sustainable and humane practices.
Youths are important in this discussion because of their particular role within the realm of climate change and the UNFCCC processes. As future bearers of the burdens of climate change, youths will be the ones to face the worst of its impacts as they unfold in the future, and this is a driving force behind a lot of their missions. Youth have proven themselves to be a bold, action-oriented constituency, but have only been formal actors within the UNFCCC processes since 2009. So while they've been informally active for almost a decade now, their voice is just being heard within the formal negotiations. so they don't have much authority within these negotiations, and we're hoping that by presenting them with this lobbying package and getting them on board with the issue of animal agriculture, their energy will be increasingly utilized by the more senior influential UNFCCC delegates, and they'll gain more authority within these negotiations. Because of their unique role within the UNFCCC as its less formal and more creative constituency, they have the potential to be a great driving force behind the issue of animal agriculture that we hope to bring to the table. So the term YOUNGO is an acronym that they came up with for themselves in 2009 when they were first being accredited, and it just means Youth Non-Governmental Organization. And as defined by the UN General Assembly, youths are people between the ages of 15 and 24, so they're this younger teen to early adult demographic who many look to for bringing new energy and perspective to the negotiations. These are a few of the accredited organizations under the YOUNGO constituency, and as you can see from their various logos, YOUNGOs are active and present across the globe with representation from both developing and developed countries. And what we have found is that they generally have more regional focuses with specific community projects that they're working on, rather than broader global initiatives, which is partially why animal agriculture has been left out of the conversation so far. Some of these projects have included a community waste management initiative in India by the India Youth Climate Network. Australian Youth Climate Coalition had a campaign last year on decreasing home energy use, and the African Youth Initiative on Climate Change has been really focused on water and sanitation issues along the Niger River Delta. So while they primarily have this local focus, they all come together before each conference of parties and hold their own two-day conference of youth, where they bring more international issues into conversation, and this is where we hope to target them in bringing the issue of animal agriculture to the table at the UNFCCC.
All right, so we decided to focus on four specific areas that youth are already involved in throughout the UNFCCC negotiations. And these areas are emissions, deforestation, water pollution, and food security. And here are some examples of how youth are already involved and how animal agriculture could be easily integrated in their existing projects. So organizations such as 350.org are focused on decreasing global greenhouse gas emissions throughout the atmosphere, mainly through the reduction in CO2. Incorporating the livestock sector as a key component to climate change could help them reach their goal of moving towards a more sustainable future. Expanding their targets slightly to include animal agriculture would be a simple adjustment with incredibly large global impacts. So reducing emissions from deforestation and land degradation, also known as REDD+, being such a large component of the UNFCCC, it is surprising there has been little attention to the impact of animal agriculture on deforestation. For example, Australian Youth Climate Coalition has worked directly with Climate Action Network on projects regarding deforestation, but nothing has dealt with the livestock sector and how it enhances land degradation and deforestation. And lastly, water is a scarce resource that is necessary for global food security. And youth organizations such as Sustain US has focused a great deal of attention on youth involvement at COP17 in regards to water sanitation, and has led to water becoming an official position for the YOUNGOs at the Durban conferences. As you saw in the introduction, animal agriculture threatens both water and food security for future generations, which is why youth organizations should expand their targets to incorporate the livestock sector.
So in order to address the animal agriculture issue, we want YOUNGOs to know, to think, and to act. To know because we understand that while YOUNGOs see a relationship between animal agriculture and climate change, they do not actually comprehend how urgent the issue is. To think, where we suggest ways for YOUNGOs to engage in formal conversations around the issue. Lastly, to act, where we propose ways for YOUNGOs to pursue the issue. So to create greater awareness about the issue, we want YOUNGOs to put up fact sheets on animal agriculture on their website. So as you see on the screen, this is a fact sheet that we have created that YOUNGOs can use or adapt. And the fact sheet features solutions and scientific evidence on animal agriculture and climate change. So we believe that this is one of the most effective forms of communication because it informs people of the most crucial concerns in the shortest amount of time. Next, we suggest YOUNGOs to conduct dialogue sessions with political leaders and students. So in this graphic, the Australian Youth Climate Coalition organized a Meet Your Member session with members of parliament to discuss the possibility of carbon pricing, which was a policy that was eventually implemented in 2011. So we want to apply this approach to the animal agriculture issue and to hope that leaders can be influenced to act. Finally, we hope that Youngos can create an online platform to share information about animal agriculture. Currently, an online platform has been created about climate change on youthclimate.org. So we encourage Youngos to nominate individuals who are knowledgeable and passionate about animal agriculture to create a similar site. This is because we want to make it easy for the public to keep abreast of the issue, and an online platform enables us to reach out to the most number of people at once. In addition, we encourage Youngos to think about and be engaged in conversations. First, we urge Youngos to establish and nominate individuals to lead an animal agriculture working group. This will be much like other working groups they have in place currently, which have been set up to achieve greater discussion, representation, and coordination on issues like the Global South. Second, we would like Youngos to include a session on animal agriculture at the Conference of Youth. We hope that formal discussions like these will signify the importance of the animal agriculture issue to youth, which may then be brought up to policymakers. Lastly, we want Youngos to show their commitment to the issue. To start off, we want Youngos to feature online pledges to pressure governments and industries to adopt better agricultural practices and to urge consumers to decrease their meat and dairy consumption. Also, we suggest Youngos can work on building school and university dining hall programs. Youngos can recommend schools to limit portion sizes and to encourage students to eat less animal-based products.